Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hari Haraye Namaha Hari Haraye Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Hari Haraye Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Haraye Namaha. Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana. Hari Haraye Namaha. Hari Haraye Namaha. Hari Haraye Namaha. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya. Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai 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 Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Paribrajacacharya Astotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Syamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Yamuna Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled Radha Raman devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I have prepared 3 excerpts from a book known as The Science of Self-Realization, which was compiled based on different lectures and writings of Srila Prabhupada. So the first one is called A Definition of God. This one was a lecture that Prabhupada gave. And I'll begin by, of course, chanting my 2 staunch mantras. Trinadapi Sunichena Todor Iva Sihishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Vikivalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata. So it begins as follows. Prabhupada speaking. Remember, this is a lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for kindly participating in this Krishna consciousness movement. When this society was registered in 1966 in New York, a friend suggested that it be named the Society for God Consciousness, for he thought the name Krishna was sectarian. And the dictionary also says that Krishna is a Hindu god's name. But in actuality, if any name can be attributed to God, it is Krishna. Actually, God has no particular name. By saying that, we mean that nobody knows how many names he has. Since God is unlimited, his names also must be unlimited. Therefore, we cannot settle on one name. For instance, Krishna is sometimes called Yashoda Nandana, the son of Mother Yashoda, or Devaki Nandana, the son of Devaki, or Vasudev Nandana, the son of Vasudev, or Nanda Nandana, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Sometimes Krishna is called Partha Sarati, indicating that he acted as the charioteer of Arjuna, and he is sometimes called Partha, the son of Pritha. So God has many dealings with his many devotees, and according to those dealings he is called certain names. Since Krishna has innumerable devotees and innumerable relations with them, he also has innumerable names. We cannot hit on any one name, but the name Krishna means all attractive. God attracts everyone. That is the definition of God. We have seen many pictures of Krishna. We see that he attracts the cows, the calves, the birds, beasts, trees, plants, even the water in Vrindavan. He is attractive to the cowherd boys, to the gopis, to Nanda Maharaj, to the Pandavas, and indeed to all of human society. Therefore, if any particular name can be given to God, that name is Krishna. Parashara Muni, a great sage and the father of Srila Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva compiled all the Vedic literatures, Parashara gives the following definition of God. And I must point out that when I first read this article way back in 1973, this is one of the first verses I memorized. I love this verse so much. Aishvarasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa sriya jnana vairagya yoshchaiva shanam bhaga itingana. And this verse of Parashara is in the Vishnu Purana. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is thus defined by Parashara Muni as one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, full wealth, full knowledge, full beauty, and also full renunciation. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the proprietor of all riches. There are many rich men in this world, but no one can claim that he possesses all the wealth, nor can anyone claim that no one is richer than he. We can understand from Srimad Bhagavatam, however, that when Krishna was present on this earth, he had 16,100 wives, and each wife lived in a palace made of marble and was bedecked with jewels. The rooms were filled with furniture made of ivory and gold, and there was great opulence everywhere. These descriptions are all given vividly in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the history of human society, we cannot find anyone who had 16,000 wives or 16,000 palaces. Nor did Krishna go to one wife one day and another wife another day. No, he was personally present in every palace at the same time. This means that he expanded himself in 16,108 forms. This is quite impossible for an ordinary man, but it is not difficult for God. For if God is unlimited, he can then expand himself in unlimited forms. Otherwise, there is no meaning to the word unlimited. God is omnipotent. he can maintain not only 16,000 wives, but 16 million, and still encounter no difficulty. Otherwise, there is no meaning to the word omnipotent. These are all attractive features. We have experience in this material world that if a man is very rich, he is attractive. In America, for instance, Rockefeller and Ford are very attractive because of their riches. They were attractive even though they did not possess all the wealth of the world. So how much more attractive then is God, who is the possessor of all riches? Similarly, Krishna has unlimited strength. His strength was present from the moment of his birth. For when Krishna was only 3 months old, the Putana demon attempted to kill him, but instead she was killed by Krishna. That is God. God is God from the beginning. He does not become God by some meditation or mystic power. Krishna is not that type of God, for Krishna was God from the very beginning of his appearance. Krishna also has unlimited fame. Of course, we are devotees of Krishna and know of him and glorify him. But apart from us, many millions in the world are aware of the fame of Bhagavad Gita. In all countries all over the world, the Bhagavad Gita is read by philosophers, psychologists, and religiousness. We are also finding very good sales with our Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is because the commodity is pure gold. There are many editions of Bhagavad Gita, but they are not pure. Ours is selling more because we are presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is. The fame of the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's fame. Beauty, another opulence, is possessed unlimited by Krishna. Krishna himself is very beautiful, as are all of his associates. Those who were pious in previous lives received an opportunity in this material world to take birth in good families and good nations. The American people are very rich and beautiful, and these opulences are a result of pious activities. All over the world, people are attracted to the Americans because they are advanced in scientific knowledge, riches, beauty, and so on. But this planet is an insignificant planet within the universe, yet within this planet, one country, America, has so many attractive features. We can just imagine then how many attractive features must be possessed by God, who is the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation. How beautiful he must be, he who has created all other beauty. A person is attractive not only because of his beauty, but also because of his knowledge. A scientist or philosopher may be attractive because of his knowledge, but what knowledge is more sublime than that given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita? There is no comparison in the world to such knowledge. At the same time, Krishna possesses full renunciation, vairagya. So many things are working under Krishna's direction in this material world. But actually, Krishna is not present here. A big factory may continue to work, although the owner may not be present. Similarly, Krishna's potencies are working under the direction of his assistants, the demigods. Thus, Krishna himself is aloof from the material world. All of this is described in the revealed scriptures. God, therefore, has many names according to his activities, But because he possesses so many opulences, and because with these opulences he attracts everyone, he is called Krishna. The Vedic literature asserts that God has many names, but Krishna is the principal name. The purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement is to propagate God's name, God's glories, God's activities, God's beauty, and God's love. There are many things within this material world, and all of them are within Krishna. The most prominent feature of this material world is sex, and that is also present in Krishna. We are worshiping Radha and Krishna, and attraction exists between them. But material attraction and spiritual attraction are not the same. In Krishna, sex is real, but here in the material world, it is unreal. Everything we deal with here is present in the material world, but here it has no value, for it is only a reflection. In the store windows, we see many mannequins, but nobody cares about them because everyone knows they are false. A mannequin may be very beautiful, but still it is false. When people see a beautiful woman, however, they are attracted because they think she is real. But in actuality, the so-called living are also dead because this body is simply a lump of matter. And as soon as the soul leaves the body, no one would care to see the so-called beautiful body of the woman. The real factor, the real attracting force, is thus the spirit soul. In the material world, everything is made of dead matter. Therefore, it is simply an imitation. The reality of things exists in the spiritual world. Those who have read Bhagavad Gita can understand what the spiritual world is like, for there it is described. Parastasmat tu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana yak sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. There is another nature which is eternal and transcendental to the manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. These scientists are attempting to calculate the length and breadth of this material world, but they cannot begin. It will take them thousands of years simply to travel to the nearest star, and what to speak of the spiritual world. Since we cannot know the material world, how can we know what is beyond it? The point is that we must know from the authoritative sources. And the most authoritative source is Krishna, for he is the reservoir of all knowledge. No one is wiser or more knowledgeable than Krishna. Krishna informs us that beyond this material world is the spiritual sky, which is filled with innumerable planets. That sky is far, far greater than material space, which constitutes only 1/4 of the entire creation. Similarly, the living entities within this material world are but a small portion of the living entities throughout the creation. This material world is compared to a prison, and just as prisoners represent only a small percentage of the total population, so the living entities within this material world constitute but a fragmental portion of all living entities. Those who have revolted against God, who are criminal, are thus placed in the material world. Sometimes criminals say that they do not care for the government, but nonetheless, they are arrested and punished. And so, similarly, living entities who declare their defiance of God are placed in the material world. Originally, the living entities are all part and parcel of God and are related to Him just as sons are related to their Father. The Christians also consider God the Supreme Father. Christians go to church and pray, "O Father, who art in heaven." The conception of God as Father is also in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahad yonir ahang bija pradakpita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. There are 8,400,000 species of life, including aquatics, plants, birds, beasts, insects, and human beings. Of the human species, most are uncivilized, and out of the few civilized species, only a small number of human beings take to religious life. Out of many so-called religionists, most identify themselves by designations, claiming, "I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Christian," and so on. Some engage in philanthropic work. Some give to the poor and open schools and hospitals. This altruistic process is called karmakand. Out of millions of these karmakandis, there may be one jnani, or one who has knowledge. And out of millions of jnanis, one may be liberated. And out of billions of such liberated souls, one may be able to understand Krishna. This then is the position of Krishna. As Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Manushyanam sahasresyu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kashtin mang veti tatvatah." Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows Krishna in truth. Understanding Krishna then is very difficult. But although the understanding of God is a difficult subject, God explains himself in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, "I am like this, I am like this. The material nature is like this, and the spiritual nature is like that. The living entities are like this, and the Supreme Soul is like that." Thus, everything is completely described in Bhagavad Gita. Although understanding God is very difficult, it is not difficult when God himself gives us his own knowledge. So actually, that is the only process by which we can understand God. To understand God by our own speculation is not possible, for God is unlimited and we are limited. Our knowledge and perception are both very limited. So how can we understand the unlimited? If we simply accept the version of the unlimited, then we can come to understand the unlimited. That understanding is our perfection. Speculative knowledge of God will lead us nowhere. If a boy wants to know who his father is, the simple process is to ask the mother. The mother will then say, "This is your father." This is the way of perfect knowledge. Of course, one may speculate about one's father, wondering if this is the man or that is the man, and one may wander over the whole city asking, "Are you my father? Are you my father?" The knowledge derived from such a process, however, will always remain imperfect, for one will never find his father in that way. The simple process is to take the knowledge from an authority, and in this case, the mother. She simply says, "My dear boy, here is your father." In this way, our knowledge is perfect. Transcendental knowledge is similar. I was previously speaking of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is not subject to our speculation. God therefore says, "There is a spiritual world, and that is my headquarters." In this way, we receive knowledge from Krishna, the best authority. We ourselves may not be perfect, but our knowledge is perfect because it is received from the perfect source. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore meant to give perfect knowledge to human society. By such knowledge, one can understand who he or she is, who God is, what the material world is, why we have come here, why we must undergo so much tribulation and misery, and why we have to die. Of course, no one wants to die, but still death comes. No one wants to become an old man, but still old age comes. No one wants to suffer from disease, but surely enough, disease comes. And we all know about that now, don't we, these days? These are the real problems of human life, and they are yet to be solved. Civilization attempts to improve eating, sleeping, mating, and defense. But these are not the real problems. A man sleeps, a dog sleeps, but a man is not more advanced simply because he has an apartment. For in both cases, the business is the same, sleeping. Man has discovered atomic weapons for defense, but the dog also has teeth and claws, and he can also defend itself. So in both cases, defense is there. Man cannot say that because he has the atomic bomb, he can conquer the entire world or the entire universe. That is not possible. Man may possess an elaborate method for defense or a gorgeous method for eating, sleeping, and mating, but that does not make him advanced. We may call his advancement polished animalism. That is all. So real advancement means knowing God. If we are lacking knowledge of God, we are not actually advanced. Many rascals deny the existence of God because if there is no God, then they can continue their sinful activities. It may be very nice for them to think that there is no God, but God will not die simply because we deny him. God is there, and his administration is there. And by his orders, the sun is rising, the moon is rising, the water flows, and the ocean abides by the tide. Thus, everything functions under God's order. Since everything is going on very nicely, how can one realistically think that God is dead? If there is mismanagement, we may say there is no government. But if there is good management, how can we say there is no government? Just because people do not know God, they therefore say that God is dead, that there is no God, or that God has no form. But we are firmly convinced that there is God, and that Krishna is God. Therefore, we are worshiping Krishna. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. I therefore urge you, try to understand this Krishna consciousness movement. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.